Hello.
Hello.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday, everyone.
I definitely feel like we need that jingle now.
Yeah,
I feel
we need
like
a jingle.
it's a little bit quiet. It's a little bit quiet. Maybe that's because it's been weekend and
What
Lucas is
rhymes
just
with Vidonary?
visionary. What was the entire point
That
of the
was the
name?
point, Visionary. Vidonary. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll find a jingle.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll make something.
Yeah. What's that? Newspaper?
Yeah, actual newspaper.
Wow.
I know. You
You know they
those?
do them on the internet, don't you?
I know, but I like the actual thing. I've really got into it.
That's
I've
funny.
made notes and everything. So yeah, got an actual newspaper in front of me, which is really nice. But
Should start getting it delivered like like you've retired and you think, you know what, I'd really like to sit down and read a newspaper.
Yeah.
Love it.
It's been a bit of a crackers weekend because we had a leak in our shower. Well,
not a vegetable. She means a water leak.
Yeah, water leak. A leak would have been fine.
Yeah.
If it was just a vegetable, that would have been absolutely fine. But no, water leak. So I've had to use Martin's shower, which is a first world problem. But now I smell like Martin.
Yeah, Lindsay likes to leave towels, and she's a lot more messy than me. I'm not going to lie to you.
I am a lot more messy than him. Yeah, but so I use your shower gel, and it's like suitable for everything, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's suitable for like your hair and your body and the walls and the car.
Yeah, you can wash your car with my shower gel.
I was like reading it, and I was like, "This is suitable for everything."
Yeah, it's great.
Whereas women's is like, this is suitable for your earlobes, and that's it. Don't go crazy. Don't use it on your entire ear, just your earlobes.
But you believe it. That's your problem. You believe that you can only use it.
Aging earlobes when you've hit 25 now. So you've got to sort it out.
They know you spend a lot more money on that kind of stuff. So for men, they're just like, whatever, just put it all in one bottle.
Well, it's the pressure. We get pressure to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, first world problems is right.
Yeah.
But yeah, we did have a water leak and we're having to wait for a plumber to come around. So up until then.
Fortunately, this is all fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could be a lot worse.
Yeah, today's show is going to be a really, really good one. I've got some really interesting things and very much not really breaking news, but recent news to talk about. So we'll get cracking into it.
Right. Let me share my screen and we'll cover this first story, which is fascinating, really, isn't it?
I've got it in newspaper format.
As you can see.
Yes.
I love the fact that you're going to buy a newspaper to be like, oh, it'll be so good to use a newspaper, and then we just share our screen anyway.
Well, I found the story in the newspaper, so that was helpful. But essentially, it's quite fascinating, really. The NHS has rang the alarm over TikTok self-diagnosis of things like ADHD. Essentially, the NHS is saying that misinformation, what it calls misinformation, on these social media platforms is fueling particularly young people to self-diagnose. And this is a huge problem for them. So I was reading the article and I got to the good point where they actually said, I think the problem is that for institutions like the NHS, which is the UK's National Health Service, is that they have previously and traditionally sort of put information out there via more traditional routes, such as newspapers, the BBC and those kind of things, but that's not where young people are obviously getting their information. So they are going to be setting up a TikTok account. But the kind of cynic in me thinks, how good is this TikTok account going to be? And whether the NHS will know how to create that kind of gripping content along with valuable content, and they need to kind of meet their audience where they're at. So they're going to have to come up with, I think, creative ways. It's not just about being on the platform and that's it. It's about actually being able to use the platform appropriately so that you can talk to your audience in a way that gets them to actually watch your content. So if it's more kind of on the boring side, then that's going to be a bit more difficult.
So are the NHS not publishing TikTok content as it stands?
No, not as it stands. This is why they're going to obviously invest in that. And they're also saying as well that sort of confidence in the contraceptive pill for young women is also going down. A lot of young women are not wanting to go in because of things that they see on TikTok and Instagram and things like that. And I think for the health industry in general, I mean, I am not a medical expert. However, I am a woman, and having had previously at the age of 12, and anyone my age in the UK, probably any woman my age in the UK, was probably told by their doctor, go on the pill, and I had all these side effects. And it was very much brushed under the carpet, particularly by medical experts that I dealt with personally. And I think sometimes when you have these experiences with the NHS or whatever it might be, you can't then blame people for going online and looking for advice.
We're in a different world. The research is at your fingertips, and you're going to do your own research, and people are going to have different opinions. And
yeah, exactly. And when they're not getting that from you, or if they're not saying, okay, well, this is the side effects, this is the whole picture, then they are going to get it elsewhere. So I think there has to be not just a presence on the social media platforms, but maybe a lot more transparency. Certainly from my own personal experience, I think more transparency would have been better. And then you're not then leading down the path of misinformation.
So the NHS are trying to get in front of their audience to be able to, not control the narrative, but have a part to play in the narrative.
Yeah.
So specifically, this says fueling self-diagnosis of ADHD. Now, obviously, with ADHD, there's this gray area where you see a lot of comedy saying, oh, it's my ADHD.
Yeah, and we've sent each other reels, haven't we? Where I've been like, this is so you, and it's someone, no offense, but it's someone that's like, named all the things that they struggle with because they have ADHD, and I've kind of sent it to Martin. They've done it in a humorous way. And I've sent it to Martin and been like, oh, this is so you, this reminds me of you, things like time blindness and things like that.
Or leaving cupboard doors open for you and stuff.
Exactly, yeah. And obviously, those things aren't, on isolation, leaving cupboard doors open is not a sign of ADHD and then things like that. And that's kind of what the NHS is saying. So there's this, it's bringing, will they bring that combination of sort of slightly more entertaining content with educational? Will they be able to marry that?
It's difficult for content creators to nail it, isn't it? It's difficult for anyone. And you see these people that are putting out hundreds, thousands of videos. There's this couple who I follow, and they talk about ADHD all the time. The amount of work that was involved in order to grow their audience, the amount of testing and publishing and failing. So you think to yourself, well, they've captured an audience and they're going to communicate with them. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how the NHS tackle that, because, the big brand of the NHS, people are going to trust it, and they're going to follow it. But are you really on TikTok because you want to be preached to? Potentially people might think it's preachy for the NHS. Or are you going to follow people who entertain you?
Yeah, so I think they've just got a mountain to climb, I think, with a lot of people being quite cynical sometimes when it comes to healthcare and things like that. That they do have a bit of a mountain to climb with young people, I think, to build that trust. And I do think that if they, we talk about this all the time, if they had actual doctors or nurses delivering the content, that would work so much better. Because it's not just coming from an NHS kind of account. It's not just nobody. And we see this all the time. We see lawyers do incredibly well on Instagram. Doctors do. There's doctors that I follow on Instagram, NHS doctors that I follow on Instagram. Individual people can do incredibly well if they are professionals and they've got experience. And this is something that was in an article by Inc. as well, that basically said that professionals, people with experience and experts, are, going to be basically the new influencers. So they are going to be, there's an opportunity for them to really be prominent on the social media platforms and to be, basically get a real increase in followers. And that's something that I personally follow a lot of.
Yeah, and it's interesting that I was watching an interview over the weekend where people are like, they're not just sick of the influencers, they're seeing the value decrease. So it used to just be a case of creating an audience and promoting things to them whenever a brand came across you. Whereas what you're saying is that it's industry experts that have looked at what the influencers are doing and they've grown their own audience in that niche topic.
Yeah.
So having somebody who is able to start with the knowledge, the experience, the authority, and then tap into influencing or content creation is actually way more valuable than these people that have just got an audience and they're able to, promote an idea, promote a product, promote a service, promote an event.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like basically, if you're the NHS or you're a doctor, you're a lawyer or an accountant, your content is kind of like vegetables and you're wanting to get your audience to eat their vegetables, and sometimes they don't want vegetables, they want McDonald's, or that seems more appealing. So you have to make those vegetables as appealing as possible. Put a bit of butter on them, some salt and pepper, so make it a little bit interesting. And I think this is why if institutions like the NHS use the actual people that work within the NHS, the professionals, the doctors and the nurses, to create that content, I think that's going to work incredibly well. If they do it in a way that, yes, has extreme value and it's steeped in research, of course, but they have to use a little bit of, how do we generate maybe a good hook on this and things like that. If they can marry those two things, I think that would work incredibly well for getting their message out there. But just having a presence on TikTok or Instagram, I don't think is enough. I think they really have to think, and many institutions as well, particularly in the UK, were quite far behind this stuff. It's crazy that, our health service is having a conversation now about TikTok.
I know.
To me, that, and that's our national health service. That's the majority of people use. It is a bit bonkers that we're having this conversation now and not sort of 5 years ago, but a presence by itself is not enough. And I'm hoping that they are going to use the amazing people that they've got working for the NHS to deliver information, rather than it be kind of this cartoony, like I can imagine slightly patronizing thing that young people aren't going to kind of listen to. So it'll be interesting to see, I think, but I'm hoping it does work for them. But obviously, misinformation isn't good for anyone, and we need more vegetables on our social media. I think we need more professionals, we need more experts, and I think that's the most exciting thing for entrepreneurs as well, is that people are looking for experts and they are looking for people that can give them true knowledge, not just these influencer types that have run a business for 4 minutes and then pretend like they know what they're doing. They're looking for real experts in their niche.
Yeah, and it's also the depth of knowledge that you have. So when it comes to growing a personal brand or even creating like a brand new YouTube channel, the niche is so important. And the same goes for your TikTok account, and the same goes for your Instagram account. The more that you can go deeper on a particular topic, the more respected you'll be, like Lindsay mentions, but also the more that you are able to communicate in a way that signifies that you do have a story, you do have experience, and you do have lots of valuable information to share. So when you go to create a new profile now, it's not good enough to say, I am a mental health doctor and here's what I know about it. You have to be quite specific. You have to say, I help teenagers with ADHD. And the more specific that you can get with your content, the easier it is for you to carve out that little segment of your market, of your TikTok.
Yeah.
Because there's subtopics within subtopics within topics. And if you can get ultra clear, sometimes I struggle because there's a lot of things that I've done, there's a lot of things that I do But actually putting that in a nice little box is incredibly difficult, because we don't put ourselves in boxes, especially when it comes to content creation. I talk about lead generation, I talk about video, I talk about confidence on camera. Those are wildly different topics that are all linked, but wildly different. So when it comes to your niche, you do have to be considerate about what specific part of it. You can't just say you're a video marketing expert. You have to say something along the lines of, I help, small business owners, solo business owners speak with confidence on camera. But you also have to think about what credibility that you've got off the back of that. So there's someone I follow who says that I used to train actors. So she trains actors, and she speaks about video marketing, but not all video marketing, specifically how to show up on camera based on her experience. So you do have to craft that little narrative when creating content these days. It's not good enough to just say, oh, I'm just a lead generation person.
Yeah, and I love that as well. I love that she says she's trained actors, because that is something that no one else can say. And one thing I've noticed when people start a video, what works incredibly well is they say the hook, and then they say, oh, I'm Lindsay, I have 5 years experience in this, or whatever it might be. And sometimes that can sound very similar to something else, but if you can choose something like, I've trained actors, I've been to drama school, I have a PhD, or whatever it could be, that's something that is quite uniquely yours. For example, for us, it might be, we've reviewed over 1,000 videos, and that could be something that maybe someone else can't say, and that would be really good. And I've noticed this more and more with videos on Instagram and TikTok. The short form videos, people are starting with, there's 3 ways you can achieve X. Oh, by the way, I'm such a body and I have this experience. And just to give that level of authority and credibility. And I think this is something like, institutions like NHS can do as well, if they bring their people along to actually deliver that content.
Yeah, I've specifically worked for the NHS for 12 years in this particular, specific part of it, or whatever.
Very tiny part of the brain.
Yeah, and I think this, it just goes to show that we say all of this to explain the benefits of being credible when it comes to creating content. You're not allowed to be surface level anymore. You can't be creating content and just say, oh, give surface level tips. You have to give specifics. I was watching an interview a few weeks ago with a CEO who created an AI database that relied on experts. So picture this. We've just moved away from people and services, or we're in the process of moving to AI. But this particular company extremely carefully want to value experts. They don't want to distribute answers to questions that aren't verified. So their selling point, or their key differentiator, is we pay industry experts in order to confirm that the information we're giving you is accurate and up to date. So rather than relying on just a large language model that just, cites the internet, they're actually actively paying hundreds and hundreds of pounds per hour to brain surgeons, just because they want to make sure that the information that they provide their users has been verified by an industry expert. And it's not just sciences and health. They're actually hiring people like a graphic designer, because they want to make sure that their model presents people with the best, most accurate information. They're actually, the AI is paying humans. So not like AI is paying for humans paying for the AI and replacing all the staff. Their entire business model relies on people saying, yeah, I've been teaching people how to, build muscle for 20 years. Great. Have you got qualifications? Have you got insights and information? You can apply for that, prove your experience, prove your authority, and we can verify that you can confirm our AI model is accurate. If not, what can you add to it? And I just found that fascinating.
Yeah, it's a fascinating thing where things might go. You can imagine someone using AI, for example, for a legal problem. But imagine if then it was verified by a lawyer. So it would still be cheaper than, say, hiring a lawyer. But if it was verified by a lawyer, that would be pretty cool. And you can imagine that verification that experts bring can be
there's a
helpful.
Ton of time involved. If you are if you're a big company and you just want to rely on an AI, well, it's great if you've got a company that actually actively verifying it with humans one-to-one basis. It's incredible. But we already mentioned last week that reels and videos are showing up now in AI search results. So imagine if we did have someone that had worked for the NHS, someone that had worked in the mental health department, someone that specifically helped people with ADHD. They're putting out videos on reels and TikToks. You go to AI and you say, you know, I think I'm, you know, needing some support. I'm not sure if I am or I'm not ADHD. And then lo and behold, the AI doesn't just tell you what it's regurgitated. It shows you a reel from someone that works at the NHS.
And has that expertise.
Exactly. And the same goes for lawyers. If you've got a lawyer case, it's going to cite a video. I've already seen that. It's happening in front of us. The NHS have just waited 10 years in order to actually, maybe we should.
But it is good. And I think it's proof. I think people are tiring of influencers that are very good on camera but very thin on knowledge, and I think people are more wanting experts and craving actual expertise and experience. You've done the hard part if you're at that point, because you probably have 10 years experience or more under your belt. The easier part now is just trying to package up your knowledge in a way that's simple and entertaining for people. And that can be learned very easily. So that's the kind of, the steps you should take next. I think every single expert should be out there creating content, video content, and trying to get in front of more people. And basically moving away the whole industry from this AI slop or influencer slop into more experts. And that would be, if I'm naively looking at how short form video content could go, that would be the way that I would want it to go. Because short form video content gets a lot of bad rap for being, addictive and just blur. But I've learned a lot from it, from experts. And I think the more that we have out there of that kind of content, the better.
Exactly. So focus on being an expert.
Yeah.
Everybody else sees this as a massive, and the shift is happening. People are not hiring influencers the way that they used to.
No.
If they want an influencer, maybe they're creating AI influencers and they're just having someone to just post and post and post and post. That is become a commodity. Thin surface level promoters is not what people crave anymore. We've had too much of it. People want to know that there's a knowledge bank behind it. There's an expert, there's some experience. And that's what you can be. And one of the easiest ways to get started with putting and packaging up all of your knowledge and experience is look at all of the most common questions. I'm sure you've scrolled through TikTok before, or Instagram Reels, or YouTube, and there's just a question that somebody's got at the top. And for this, it might be, how do I know if I've got ADHD? And then you'll literally just point into it and say, someone just asked this question. You don't have to have somebody ask you the question. You can just add the note to the top, and then all you do is you have that in the title. The easiest thing for you to do if you want to start putting out content and be seen as the industry expert is just look at all of the possible questions people have asked you in the past and record one single video for every single question, and you've got this amazing bank of knowledge. That's the kind of thing that you'll get cited. That's the kind of thing that you can put out enough content and then improve the hooks and the framing and stuff. But if all you did for the next 30 days was just record one video a day and say, here's a question, here's an answer, and you're speaking to it. We already brought up Reels before. We asked a question to AI about a particular product, and it was a video of someone answering the question live on Instagram, and it linked to the Instagram Reel. So it's happening. You just need to get in front of it before everybody comes on. Yeah,
definitely. A really good example of this is from an accountant, Rachel Harris, who I follow on Instagram. She's also on YouTube. If you want to check her out, she does a lot of content around accountancy and finance, which traditionally isn't the most exciting of topics, but she makes it accessible. And I think it's just about learning how to make your area of expertise accessible to other people. I think it was Einstein that said, if you can't explain something simply, you don't know it well enough. We all know our topics well enough. We just have to figure out how to explain it simply so that other people can understand it. As soon as you grasp how to do that, the better everything will be. It'll just explode for you. But some of Rachel Harris's examples are, how to get a manicure, how to, sign up a manicure basically through your business, how to put it through your business, those kind of things. So it's a very accessible question for people, how do I do that? And it's a video on that. How to get your meal paid for by your business, those kind of things, those kind of questions are very interesting for people. It's not just about the ins and outs of finances that is very difficult to understand. She makes it accessible. You can make your content easy to understand. You're about 90% of the way there for being successful on social media.
Absolutely. And it's about the blend as well. It's about understanding that knowledge is important and expertise is important, but also that blend of how can I get people to watch? Nobody just wants a lecture. And this is what we do as part of we're just in the process of running a video boot camp. So one of the issues is people don't feel comfortable on camera, even if they've got all of the knowledge in the world. So what we do as part of the video boot camp, which has just started today, is we give people the correct framing. So every day they'll get a brand new idea for video content, and it will be framed with a really nice conversational hook that presents any idea that you've got in a slightly different way that makes it a little bit more intriguing and interesting. And then you can actually go straight in. Every single day we always talk about hook of the day during this session. But what you can do is you can take that wealth of knowledge you've got and that idea or that answer to a question, use that, combine that with a conversational hook, which you can see a link in the description. And you're framing ideas in a way that's more entertaining. So rather than just say, oh, well, it's not entertaining, this is just information, try to add a little bit of entertainment, try to add a little bit of intrigue, and it'll make a huge difference.
A really good example I have heard recently was, imagine you're talking about gold. Now, I know nothing about gold. I'll start this conversation off by saying that I know nothing about gold. Now, imagine you're an expert on that and you go to camera and say, gold has increased in value since 1952. That's quite boring. And you're talking about gold and how much and all the percentages. It's increased by 2.4%, which means nothing to anyone. Now imagine that you've got a graph and it's showing house prices. And then you've got, and then next to it's got a line set showing gold. And you can see that gold is increasing in value more than house prices. That's extremely visual, and you're thinking, okay, now I understand it more. Now imagine a video where someone shows a picture of Warren Buffett and goes, this guy invested the most in gold. That is the most accessible form of that argument. If you're constantly, when you're creating content or anything, you're just arguing your point. And what's the best way to get your point across? Well, it's not, oh, gold's increased in 2.4% in value. It's a picture of Warren Buffett and saying, this guy has invested an absolute shit ton in gold. You might want to use the exact number, but think of the most accessible way to form an argument. And if you can do that through your content, this is what we try and teach people in the boot camp. That's the best way to gain attention, but gain attention from the right people who are actually interested in what you're talking about and are more likely to buy from you. It's finding that balance.
Yeah. The way that we like to imagine this is when you create niche specific content, it will only go to a niche audience and it will show it to most people. But if most people can't relate to it, then it won't show it to any more. So what Lindsay's referencing here is opening it up in a broad way, like talking about something big and familiar like Warren Buffett, or you could talk about Bitcoin, or you could talk about property prices, all big familiar topic, and then be more specific and say, but there's one thing that has massively outperformed property or Bitcoin or whatever, and it's this. And then you can talk about, the niche specific topics. So,
exactly how we kind of opened up this today. We're talking about the NHS. We're talking about how people are self-diagnosing ADHD. In theory, we all understand that because we've all kind of seen those videos. We've all related, to those videos where you're like, oh yeah, I can kind of identify with that. So there's, we started off very broad, and then we're bringing it in more to do with, okay, well, what can entrepreneurs learn from this? And yet, if you can start off in that broad sense and make something more accessible, then you're onto a winner.
And that's what the 66 viral hooks do. And that's what we do with our bootcamp. We give you the broadest possible way to start the video, and then people are intrigued, and then you can get a little bit more niche towards the end.
Yeah.
On that note, what's our hook of the day? Because we are at time.
Hook of the day. So if you want desired result by the end of the year, follow these habits or follow these steps.
Nice.
Yeah, very simple one.
Yeah,
really, really simple one. And that's when you can go in and say, oh, by the way, my name's Lindsay. I've reviewed over 1,000 videos or whatever it might be, but you can come in at that point. But the hook, it works really well, because essentially, you're giving someone a clear goal, which is this by the end of the year, and clear steps. So you're promising them that they're going to hit something that they really want to hit, and you're telling them, if you watch this video, I'm going to tell you the exact steps to do it. So it's a really, really simple one.
So let's give an example. So if you want to make £100,000 in the next 6 months, so or by the end of 2026, then follow these exact steps. Now, the trick with this particular idea and this particular video is to be specific. You're not allowed, well, you are allowed, but the best way for you to pick up traction is specificity here. Everybody's like, oh, you just need to just change your mindset around it, or you just need to understand that there's this one thing to do. Usually it's like, first I want you to do this, then I want you to do this. So for us, it might be, the first thing you need to do is package up your offer. Then you need to create a waiting list. Then you need to set a date in your calendar. Like, you need to be like ultra specific if you're going to teach people this. That's the best way to get followers on social media.
Yeah.
It's the best way to get people saving and bookmarking your post and wanting to come back for more.
Yeah. So for example, if you want to get 10,000 YouTube subscribers by the end of the year, then I will tell you the next, or whatever it might be.
Follow these exact steps. Yeah.
My name's Lindsay. I've helped clients go from 30,000 views a month to 3 million views a month. And then that's the credibility. And make sure you wait to give the answer. That's the important thing. Don't just say the answer straight away. Give them the breakdown. Give them a little hook to like follow all the way through.
Yeah, one of our Vidonary users, someone asked this question. She's like, I've been publishing videos and they're great and they're getting views, but what she actually wants this time around during the bootcamp is followers. So the best way to get followers and to grow your audience is specificity. So whatever hook that you create, whatever video idea you've got, the more detailed, the more specific, the more that people are like, wait, let me get a pen. That's the kind of videos that generally lend themselves to that.
And tell them as well. We talked about this last week. The more that you tell people if you tell people to follow you, they're 77%, I think, more likely to follow you. People you think, oh, it's quite obvious. It's not obvious. Tell people exactly what you want them to do. Save this, follow me. And we used to it on YouTube. You hear people say they used to say hit the bell. But we need to bring that in everywhere as well.
Absolutely. Great hook. I love it. Great. I'd love to see some people use that. Let me know if you've published any content with that kind of hook, or if you're planning to. And we'll see you again tomorrow.
I'm going to read my newspaper now. I'm excited. With
a coffee and a pipe.
And pipe.
And your flat cap.
Yeah.
I've been very, what's the word? Stereotypical.
It sounds great though. I'd love that. Maybe not
minus the pipe.
Maybe I'd start coughing.
Thanks so much. We'll see you again, everyone. Same time tomorrow for another episode of Bingeability.
See you
soon. Bye for now.
Bye.